So today we're diving into anime that are almost as dark as shows like Berserk 2016. Wait, scratch that word, definitely not talking about that dumpster fire. I mean, honestly, nothing is darker than that mess. But if you're a rom-com fan, you might want to look away because today's list is all about the top 10 darkest anime that will absolutely wreck your mind. So buckle up, it's about to get a little intense. Let's dive in. To start off, we have Midori. There are dark anime, then there are darker anime. And then there's whatever the hell this is. On one side, you've got your typical dark anime, and on the other, there's Midori. A film so deeply disturbing it feels like it was never meant to be watched by actual human beings. Calling it dark almost feels dishonest. It's not just dark, it's a plunge into filth, despair, and psychological decay. Animated with the fury of someone who's seen too much and decided to drag you into their nightmare. The story follows Midori, a young girl orphaned and sold into a traveling freak show. But don't expect any twisted carnival fun here. What follows is a relentless barrage of cruelty and suffering that makes even the grimmest horror anime look tame. And honestly, if I tried to describe some of the things that happens here in detail, YouTube might just delete the video. There's no comfort, no catharsis, no redemption, just a slow, agonizing descent into hopelessness. Unlike shows like Elfenlied or Another, which wrap their gore in style and atmosphere, Midori rips off the mask and shoves your face into the horror. It's raw, it's grotesque, and it will stay with you long after the credits roll. So watch this if you're only mentally prepared to do so. And really prepare. And at number 9, we have Pet. Pet doesn't play by normal rules, it unravels minds. Literally. There is a show where memories are manipulated like clay, and the people who do it are emotionally broken tools of a larger system. The horror in Pet isn't about demons or ghosts, it's about losing control of your own reality, about forgetting who you are because someone else decided it was convenient. The show is dense, abstract, and unapologetically cruel. And that's exactly what makes it so disturbing. Every character is broken. Not in the dramatic, noble way anime sometimes romanticizes, but in the hollow-eyed, trauma-laced way that makes you wonder if they were ever whole to begin with. The show plays with the concept of emotional weight. Literally. This is an anime that doesn't just explore darkness, it carves it into the characters' minds and leaves them, and the audience, bleeding. It's bleak, cerebral, and merciless. So give it a try and you might enjoy it. And by the way, the opening of this show was just absolutely phenomenal. Next at number 8, we have The Empire of Corpses. Now the zombie genre has got to be one of the least explored genres. Cause be honest, name one zombie anime apart from Zom 100 and don't you freaking dare say High School of the Dead. Cause no one watched it for the zombies. We all know those eyes were somewhere else. Alright, anyways, The Empire of Corpses reanimates the dead. Not for horror, but for labor, war, and progress. That premise alone should tell you how bleak this alternate history anime is. Set in a 19th century steampunk world, this film imagines a future shaped by Victor Frankenstein's technology, where corpses are wired back to life, stripped of soul and identity, and repurposed as tools. And who's the mastermind behind this? Sung Jin-woo? The film dives into what it means to be human by exploring what happens when that humanity is erased. And that is where the darkness comes from. Not in the zombies' gruesome appearances, but in the way society accepts their use without question. Soldiers, servants, laborers, all lifeless, all silent. The world has normalized dehumanization, and the few who resist it are portrayed as mad, dangerous, or obsolete. This is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood without hope, but it isn't about zombies. It's about the death of dignity. So watch it if you're in the mood to watch something messed up. After that, at number 7, we have Gleipnir. Gleipnir is what happens when you take the body horror of Parasite, the moral collapse of Future Diary, and the not-so-family-friendly tension of Devilman Crybaby. Then mash them into something even less stable, and this anime doesn't tiptoe into the darkness. It cannonballs into it. At its core, it's about a high school student who can transform into a gruesome monster and the unstable girl who literally climbs inside him to fight. And as weird and inappropriate as it sounds, it's just the starting point. Everything about Gleipnir feels corrupted. The transformations are gruesome, the powers are unnatural, and every relationship is steeped in manipulation, desperation, or just pure violence. The characters aren't trying to become heroes, they're trying to survive long enough to understand what the hell is happening. And in the process, they lose whatever innocence they had left. The show presents power as a curse, identity as a mask, and morality as something negotiable. The show never lets you forget how messed up these dynamics are, and it thrives on that tension. Gleipnir doesn't want you to feel safe, it wants you to feel complicit. It's an anime that stares into the abyss of teenage trauma, dehumanizations, and identity loss, and then hands you the camera. And if you're in the mood to traumatize yourself, well, maybe give this one a watch. And at number 6, we have My Home Hero. Now, a disclaimer is needed here, because apart from being violent, this anime explores some pretty sensitive stuff. So, My Home Hero proves that the scariest monsters don't need claws or superpowers. They just need a reason. And a father trying to protect his daughter is one of the most dangerous forces anime has ever put to screen. The premise is simple. A regular middle-aged man discovers his daughter is involved with a violent criminal, and he takes matters into his own hands. What follows is a tense, methodical descent into the psychology of a man who is willing to burn everything for his child. Unlike most anime that explore crime or violence, this show doesn't glamorize anything. There's no thrill, just constant paranoia. It taps into the same unease that made Monster unforgettable. The idea that once you cross a line, no matter how good your reason is, there is no going back. Every step the protagonist takes only digs the grave deeper, and you're forced to watch him scramble to cover his tracks while his sanity frays. And it's the most traumatizing thing this anime puts on you. The emotional toll, the anxiety is suffocating. Every interaction with the gang, every suspicious glance from the police, every lie told to his wife, each moment is a reminder that his life is one thread away from unraveling. It's the psychological pressure of Erased, but without the time travel escape hatch. There's no magic fix, just consequences. My Home Hero is a domestic tragedy dressed as a crime thriller, and it's devastating in its quiet rage. After that, at number 5, we have Rin, Daughters of Mimosine. God, I hope I didn't butcher that. But this isn't just dark in the action anime sense, it's disturbing to its core. This anime takes the concept of immortality and turns it into a slow-burning, centuries-long nightmare. The protagonist cannot die, and the world makes sure she regrets that fact in every possible way. This 6-episode OVA is brutal, hyper-violent, and steeped in themes of memory, identity, and the consequences of eternal life. And as I said before, this isn't just dark in the action anime sense, it's disturbing in its psychological implications. Every episode features the main character being tortured, unalived, mutilated, regenerated, over and over and over. And the violence is not glossed over either. It's intimate, explicit, and treated as something both casual and horrifying. But the real weight of the anime isn't in the gore, it's in how the main character endures. Centuries pass, the world changes, but the trauma lingers. Her immortality isn't freedom. It's a prison made of her own memories. Mimosine doesn't glorify suffering, it catalogs it. Cold, methodical, and relentless. It's not trying to thrill you or excite you. It's trying to leave a scar. And if you watch it, you might just get one. Then here at number 4, we have Blue Literature Series. This show is darkness distilled into 6 classic Japanese stories, adapted into a deeply uncomfortable but beautifully animated anthology. Each arc plunges into the mind of a protagonist breaking under the weight of depression, addiction, isolation, or self-hatred. There are no monsters here, only people. And that's what makes it terrifying. It doesn't exaggerate, it reflects, painfully. The animation style shifts subtly to match each story's tone, sometimes sketchy and surreal, other times clean and almost sterile. But the emotional content never lightens. It's hard to watch, not because of gore or shock value, but because it presents mental illness, despair, and emotional breakdowns without apology or cushion. There's no resolution, no redemption arc, just the raw truth that not everyone survives their own mind. In a way, Blue Literature Series is the literary cousin of Welcome to the NHK, but stripped of humor. Each story reminds you how fragile people really are, and how terrifying it is when they shatter quietly. This anime doesn't just portray darkness, it screams it in a monologue, with a deadpan voice while the world burns softly in the background. So be sure that you're ready to watch this one, and be prepared that your mind might be messed up for the next couple months. And here at number 3, we have Shadow's House. Now there's something profoundly disturbing about politeness used as a weapon, and Shadow's House is soaked in it. At first glance, it presents itself like a gothic fairy tale, a mysterious manor, living dolls, faceless nobles cloaked in shadows, but this anime wastes no time making it clear. Nothing here is innocent. Every smile is rehearsed, every gesture is monitored, and every rule hides a deeper, crueler truth. What makes Shadow's House so disturbing is how calm it all is. It is the kind of psychological horror that doesn't need blood to be terrifying, just silence, secrecy, and absolute control. The dolls, who are actually human children, are told they exist to serve their shadow masters. But the deeper the series goes, the more it reveals that this is less about service and more about erasure. These kids are groomed to surrender their very selves in the name of perfection. The system isn't chaotic, it's efficient. Oppression is organized. Rebellion is suicidal. And worst of all, many of the characters don't even realize they're imprisoned. That's a rare kind of darkness. Something that The Promised Neverland did really well. And we're not going to talk about season 2, so let's not go there. But this show is horror in its most elegant, calculated form. A psychological cage lined with velvet. Then in the second spot, we have ID Invaded. So imagine Psychopaths if the mental health warnings were more than just flavor text. ID Invaded is a murder mystery on acid, where the detectives are as broken as the killers they chase. The show weaponizes the mind as a crime scene, and what's inside is never safe or stable. The protagonist is a disgraced detective who can only enter these dream world crime scenes because he's a murderer himself. Every time he dives into an ID well, he loses his identity, becoming a fragment of who he once was. The horror builds not just from the crimes, but from the erosion of self. He's not solving mysteries, he's falling apart with every answer. What makes ID Invaded dark isn't just the murders or the mental decay, it's the system's cold detachment. The agency sends broken people into broken minds, knowing it will break them further. And it does. Again and again. But at the top spot of today's list, we have Heavenly Delusion. This is The Promised Neverland on steroids. It's darker, grittier, and doesn't have a crappy season 2. This is what happens when you tear away the illusion of safety and expose the rot beneath. On the surface, it's a sci-fi mystery. Kids raised in a pristine facility, the outside world crawling with monstrous beings, but as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that this isn't just another post-apocalyptic anime. It's a psychological dissection of trauma, identity, and survival. The darkness here is layered. There's the literal horror of human-like monsters hunting the remnants of civilization. But the real terror lies in the systems of control and lies that shaped the characters' pasts. This series doesn't deal in simple shock value. There's a creeping dread that builds as the dark secrets about the facility and the children within its surface. Identities blur. Memories don't match. People aren't what they seem. The lines between human and weapon, savior and monster, protector and manipulator keep shifting. But the heaviest thing was its emotional weight, the abuse and the cost of keeping secrets. It pushes boundaries, not for provocation, but to ask what happens to innocence when the world dies and the truth is poison. Heavenly Delusion doesn't just show a ruined world, it makes you feel the sickness in its bones. It's not about hope. It's about what you become when hope is gone. Well, that's the list for today, guys. If you were able to make it this far, please be sure to comment on which anime you think should have been on this list. Also, if you're not subscribed already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and press on that bell icon, and set this all to be notified about all our latest new videos. And don't forget to hit that like button. And as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.